Hello guys and welcome to another video. My name is Mark, I'm an entrepreneur property investor, and in today's video we're talking about 5 reasons why I believe everybody should attempt to be debt-free in 2023. And the title's slightly misleading because what I mean by debt-free is I mean bad debt. I'm talking credit cards, I'm talking loans, things that aren't there to serve you. If you borrowed money in order to buy property, mortgages that pays you money, I view that as good debt. More of that, please. And that'll be point 5 at the end, because at the end of the day, I'm an entrepreneur and I believe in good debt. I do believe in good debt, but I also see so many people make the mistake of getting credit cards, going out and buying clothes, cars on PCP finance agreements. There are so many pitfalls for people, especially young men. And a lot of my audience are going to be between 25 and 35. And it is so tempting to go out and buy that new BMW, new Mercedes on finance when you haven't got the asset to pay for it. So I always say, don't buy what you want, buy things that will pay for what you want. And that means I do believe in debt, right? I have cars that are on finance, but I have the assets that pay for that finance agreement. That's the really important distinction, and in this video we're talking about getting rid of bad debt. So if you like this sort of content, if you like these sort of videos, give this video a big like, it really does help me out with the algorithm. And remember, we have our subscriber dividend portfolio. Today, at the time of recording, there's 9,500. I think by the time you see this, there'll be 11,500 in it. And we will be giving that money out in dividend format to our subscribers every single month. Just make sure you watch the subscriber dividend video around the 10th of every single month. So let's go first of all with my first point, which is interest rates are rising. So in the UK, Bank of England's currently sitting the interest rate at 4.25%. Now that is against a backdrop of historically low rates of sub 1% for many years. So we have been in a very low interest environment, and now interest rates are rising, which means that people are having to get used to paying far more for some of the products that they might be buying on finance. A good example is cars. A Mercedes C-Class, I was surprised, is now over £650 a month on a PCP agreement. Go back 3-4 years, that was $350. So there's a huge difference when the interest rate goes from have 0% APR on the headline to, well, now it's 7.49 and maybe 7.99 now. So yeah, I think there's a real big point about interest rates rising, meaning the cost of money to you guys and to me, or the cost of capital has increased. Now, I use the phrase cost of capital because I believe in debt and capital in order for me to move it around and do things with it. But if you're going to be doing it for consumption purposes, it's very negative. So guys, that's the first thing. Interest rates are rising. The cost of those things are going to get more expensive. And if you've got credit cards, loans, they're going to be fixed. Your loans are going to be fixed, but your credit cards are highly likely going to be going up. And they're horrible debt anyway. Get rid of them. They're awful. My second point on here is more investing power. So let's say, for example, at the moment, you're somebody who's got a £300 car payment, a £300 personal loan, £200 on a credit card. I mean, that's a huge amount of debt for someone to be paying every single month. £800. Now, if you're taking home £3 a month, that's the sort of position I see people get themselves into. £3 a month income, and they're paying out £800 a month just on debt. Well, look, you would have so much more investing power, a further £800 to put to work if you got rid of that debt. Now, that might mean that you have to make some big sacrifices in your expenses. Maybe you have to stop having that morning coffee, whatever it is that's going to save that money so that you can get rid of it quicker. Or you might have to take a second job, increase your income, have better skills. There's so many things that you can do. It's all in your power though. I believe everybody has the opportunity to earn more or to cut their spending. Everybody does. Which means it really is just down to you whether you want to unlock that investing power, whether getting rid of that is important enough. For me, I think that most people who are in that sort of position would benefit from not having that over their head and being able to invest more every single month. And that does lead me on to number 3, which is sleeping better and general well-being. Now during COVID, I personally have had to take on more debt. Now I am paying that down fairly quickly, but I've had to take on more debt because the things that I've been involved in, some of my businesses, especially taxis, have had a big negative effect to them. Stay home, don't go out. I mean, that's not conducive for a good taxi environment. So I've had to take on more debt, and I can tell you, I sleep better when there's no debt. I sleep much better, and I think most people do. For your own sanity, your own well-being, I think having been debt-free, certainly bad debt-free, in 2023 is going to be really, really good for you. And that also means that you have more headroom, right? So number 4 is headroom in case of emergency. The fact that right now I am credit card free, okay? So I have no debt on any of my credit cards whatsoever. But I have credit card limits across my credit cards of about £100,000, which means I have about £100,000 worth of headroom in case of an emergency. And that's really important. Now you can scale that up or down. You know, the billionaire might have hundreds of millions of headroom in there, and somebody who's on a lesser salary or has less assets might have £2,000 or £3,000. But whatever that means to you, it does give you more headroom, which allows you to absorb any crisis a little bit easier. And that also will lead you to have the ability for more good debt. And this really is back to my original point when I started this video. I do believe in debt. I absolutely believe in debt. I believe that you should be able to borrow for a project that's going to deliver a return. It's what debt's for. It's to bring future earnings forward for me. Now, what it's not for, in my mind, is to bring forward future gratification, because that's what most people use it for, right? I can't afford that holiday, so I put it on finance and therefore I can. So I bring forward the gratification. Bringing forward a project, bringing forward future earnings is slightly different. And I know you can't do this, but if we use the example of a house, because it's just so easy to understand. Imagine you get 100% debt on a property. It's £100,000. And the debt costs you, let's say it's 7%, and you've got to pay £7,000 a year in your debt payments. Now, if you could rent that out for £12,000 a year, well, there's a spread for your risk and everything else, right? It makes sense. I think debt is useful when you're buying assets that appreciate, where there's business within it, where you can mitigate as much of the risk as you possibly can. I don't think it's good when you're bringing forward gratification, because that's when people get into trouble. What are your thoughts though? Let me know. Debt-free in 23, is that something that's important to you? Comment down below, I'll reply to every single one of you guys, and thank you for watching the video. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers guys.